Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lindsay. I'm one of the volunteers here, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to see, and then we're actually going to watch the Droop Nose on Concorde go through its full cycle. So I'm going to stand at the back in the way of any photos. I'm going to say, welcome to Concorde 216. This was the last Concorde to fly. Half of the Concordes built were assembled just across the runway in the Brabazon hangars, and the others were assembled in Toulouse in southern France. These hangars are scheduled to be transformed into the YTL Arena Bristol in the very near future, and that will give them a whole new life after decades of aviation production. Our Concorde has the registration GBOAF, which you can see on the back of the plane. We call it Alpha Foxtrot, the last two of the call sign. It was the last ever Concorde to be built and the last to fly. And on this very day in 2003, 26th of November, Alpha Foxtrot left Heathrow to make a final ever flight. She performed a flypast to the Filton airfield and then flew round Bristol to thank Bristolians for their support and work over the years. She then lined up and flew over the Clifton Suspension Bridge, creating the iconic photo of two Bristol engineering triumphs from different centuries. At 7 minutes past 1, which if my watch is correct, is about now, she returned to Filton and landed here for the last time, exactly 19 years ago. Since she landed, we've been able to raise the funding to build the Aerospace Bristol Museum that you see around you today. The first 100 years of Bristol aviation are presented in the 1917 listed building hangar that you came through to get here. This new building was completed in 2017 and built specifically to showcase Concorde. So today, we're looking forward to demonstrating to you one of its special and unusual features, Concorde's lowerable nose, affectionately known as the Droop Snoot. Concorde's airframe needed to be streamlined to allow it to fly like a bullet at twice the speed of sound. This meant that unlike other passenger jets, she needed a very long pointed nose, which would reduce drag and improve the aerodynamic efficiency when in supersonic flight. However, Concorde landed and took off at a very high angle of attack. This was due to the way the delta wings are formed and they produce lift at low speeds. At these high angles of attack, a fixed streamlined nose would almost completely obscure the runway, particularly on landing. So the engineers came up with a solution to the problem. They designed the drooping nose, one that could be configured to suit the different stages of flight. This was trialled on a research aircraft, the Bristol Type 221, the blue model of which you can see in the other hangar. This aircraft was a development of the nose-drooping Ferry Delta II, which was the first aircraft in the world to exceed 1,000 miles an hour and held the world airspeed record for quite a period in the mid-1950s. On the first prototype, which took off from Filton in April 1969, the drooping nose included a metal visor rather than the glass one that you see there. This came up and protected the pilot's windshield from the high temperatures and aerodynamic loads of supersonic speeds. The air friction when flying at 1,350 miles an hour heats the nose you're looking at to around about 125 degrees centigrade. When the prototype's metal visor was up during cruise, the only way the pilots on the prototypes could see forward was through two small periscopes in the top of the visor. needless to say, when we showed it to the airline pilots, they weren't very impressed. Even if the technology didn't require it, pilots like to see where they're going, which is not too surprising. Happily, a company called Triplex came up with a solution involving a very tough laminated glass. That glass that you're looking at is round about 35 millimeters or 1.5 inches thick, and it includes a gold film which can heat the glass for de-icing activity. So what you see on Alpha Foxtrot in front of you is the production visor and production nose. So without any further ado, it's time to wake up Alpha Foxtrot. And I'm going to count down from 10, and I'd like you all, particularly the youngsters, to help me count down. And then we'll begin the drooping of the nose. So can we start at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action. First thing you will see is the visor lowering down into the nose. That immediately enhances the visibility for the pilots. But of course they still couldn't see the runway, whether on takeoff or on landing. So the next lowering is to lower the nose to 5 degrees. Now that is the position where the pilots, with the aircraft fairly horizontal for taxiing and takeoff, can actually now see down to the runway. So they would taxi, they would take off, climb into flight, and bring the nose up and bring the visor for supersonic flight. At the end of supersonic flight, they would then be coming down to approach the runway, and at that point, the angle of attack, or the nose up of the aircraft, is very significant, and 5 degrees would not be enough, so we can now lower it to 12.5 degrees. And that is Concorde in the landing position. So I'm just going to pause for a moment so you can take photographs, and in a few moments we'll then ask Paul, who's driving the plane today, to then take it right up again. But if you'd just like to take some photographs, I'll pause for a moment.
I think it's
Okay, are we all done? Captain Paul is going to bring it up to the supersonic cruise position. There we are, fully up. Wait for the visor to come up and protect the pilot's windscreens. And there we are, ready to fly at twice the speed of sound. We'll now go through the full sequence again. So get your videos out if you want to watch the full run.
Fantastic.
And there we are with the full sequence. If you want to see a pilot's eye view of it, please go into the exhibition room on the mezzanine floor in the far corner, where you can actually watch a video with the view that the pilots would have seen as the visor came up and went down. But thanks for coming, thanks for listening, and enjoy the rest of your stay.
Devo venire da questa